Can everybody hear me okay, or do you need the mic? Everybody right, hear me okay. Everybody hear me in the back, right? Mike?
Don't be afraid of the mic. It's on already.
Check. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll speak to the mic today.
All right.
I really put a lot of forethought and thinking into what to present to a congregation. And I came up with one thing. It's possible. As a spiritualist church, we deal with ascended masters, we deal with Jesus, we deal with Christianity, we deal with Zoroastrianism, we deal with Confucianism. We talk about miracles, we do laying on of hands in every service. Pastor Karen now had us introduce and bring back more towards our mission. Before chanting, before spiritual development classes, we're doing more and more healing. The thing is, Western society, we're indoctrinated. We get told the nuts and bolts of things. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Think about what everybody does at home. You get something new for your computer or a bike to assemble, and immediately you look for the instructions and you want to follow the instructions. In Eastern society, they're taught that's not the first step. Eastern society is taught the first step is realizing and fully accepting that it's possible. Whatever you're thinking about, whatever your goals are, whatever your aim in life is, whether it be physical, wealth, abundance, relationships, whether it be spiritual, ascending, healing, manifesting a healthy body, that unless you realize in your heart and your mind, together as one, that it's possible, you won't succeed. And if you do, it's going to be a bumpy, hard trail. Since we're in America, and since we're all very intellectual, I figured I'd start by going through some of the things that we didn't think used to be possible. Something I don't know, and any joggers, runners here, anybody that's into athletics, everybody knows about the 4-minute mile. High school children today do the 4-minute mile in school for track. Prior to 1954, doctors, physicians, all said that the human body was not designed to break the 4-minute mile mark. We actually had Sir Roger Gilbert Bannister break the 4-minute mile mark on May 6th, 1954. He came in at 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. Now that wasn't his first attempt. He actually did 8 or 9 tries before that. And around the world, all the best universities, all the best doctors and medical doctors said, no, the human body is not meant to go quicker than the 4-minute mile. It can't be done. He did it, and 46 days later, it was broken. So, throughout the 20th century, men were trying to break that. And 54 years into the century, they still were fighting against it. He broke it, and then 46 days later, it was broken again. What changed in that 46 days? Did gravity change? Did the earth change? Did humanity suddenly make some leap and go into another, we were breeding supermen? No. The only thing that changed is the people that came after Roger Bannister, it was possible. They already knew it. They didn't think it. They didn't feel it. They actually knew it. Somebody had done it. Somebody went before them. And they started achieving that very quickly. By the 70s, we had high school students in the United States running 4-minute miles. Quantum physics. How many people here, just throw up your hand, how many people here have at least heard the term holographic universe? Okay, so basically everybody, right? To give a basic primer in case nobody hasn't heard it, the difference between a hologram and a picture is, a picture, you take a picture, it's a snapshot, and if you rip a picture in half, you have 2 halves of a picture. A hologram is you take a picture, and it's like a pane window, like we have on the side of the church. And if you throw it on the ground and break it into 100 pieces, every single piece of that window will reproduce the entire picture. So now you have 100 pictures. Physicists theorized, and quantum mechanics, that we live in a holographic universe. That we actually don't live in reality as we think of it. This isn't hard. That's not brick. What we think of as real isn't real. It's our perception. However, That was only theory until now. A lot of people remember the Large Hadron Collider. People didn't want it to turn on. It was going all around Facebook. It was going all over the news because they were afraid it would create a black hole and destroy the universe or swallow up the Earth and the sun. This is a 5-mile large circuit. It's actually a tunnel under the Earth. It's 5 miles in a circuit. And they created it to start to explore the mysteries of the universe, to slam particles together close to the speed of light and see what happened. When they started it up, they were doing what is called the GEO 600 gravitational wave experiment. They were actually looking into gravity. The problem was they started doing these super precise experiments, and the results they were getting didn't match what the scientists expected. And you have to remember, this is the most brilliant scientists around the world. We're talking people like Stephen Hawking, that everybody knows. But we're talking tons of scientists from China, Japan, India, the United States, Canada. And these scientists were then called in. The group that runs the Large Hadron Collider sent them all the details and said, we don't know what we're doing wrong. We think we misadjusted the equipment. That was their expressed thought. You need to tell us how to fix this. After 6 months of research, the combined group of scientists, and again, these are quantum physicists who deal with the nature of reality, came back and said, nothing's wrong. You just provided the first scientific proof that we live in a holographic universe. What you're seeing as interference, what you're seeing as interference in your tests is actually the proof that we live in a holographic universe. That we're all made of energy, we're all one. That there is no differentiation between you and me and that wall and that floor and what we are. That everything is energy and information. Have you guys seen that on Nightline? Has anybody seen it on ABC or CBS or Fox News? No, they're still talking about it, but it's in all these scientific journals. The U.S. Naval Observatory, the United States military journals, Scientific America, they're flying emails around. They said like to overload the internet, the scientists, because they don't know how to say that without it coming across spiritual. And if especially in the spiritualist church, if you think back at the amount of people that have told us that we're all one. It wasn't just Jesus and Christianity. It's Krishna, it's Shiva, it's Lao Tzu, it's Kuan Yin, Zoroaster. You can go through a list of the amount of people that have always said what has been their arcing theme throughout time. We're all one. You can't do something to somebody else without doing it to yourself. And now, we actually have science telling us this. We have scientists trying to figure out a way to make it not sound religious when they tell us that. Some of these things that come along, I believe we're in an incredible time. And I think a lot of other people do too. And it's not just because we had a turn of a century. We're actually in a time where science is starting to back up ancient religion. Not in the terms of telling people how to live, not in the terms of telling people how to be, what meat to eat. You know, if you get pork on your plate, you got to bury it in the backyard for 7 days. No, that was religion. Yeah, that was priesthoods. That was priesthoods that wanted to rule us. But now they're coming forward and saying we are all one. They're coming forward and talking about energy. They're talking about the sun. Everybody follows global warming. Everybody also knows about archaeology, especially here in Arizona. We dig up stuff, we carbon-14 date it, and we say, okay, this came from the Pleistocene era of the dinosaurs. Right now, nothing can be carbon-14 dated. The reason is, for 150 years, scientists actually measured the radioactive decay lives of various isotopes across the world. Carbon-14 was found the best one to use because it was in every age they could track its infiltration into our environment. Well, up until 7 years ago, that was fine. They could tell you within, plus or minus years, when something lived. Carbon-14 and all the other radioactive isotopes in our world are now decaying at different rates. Our sun is bombarding our Earth. And again, now they're guessing. They're guessing tachyons or anions or neutrinos, which science is just on the forefront of understanding. And they're literally saying, and let me make sure I have the quote, that the mutations on Earth may go so far as to change the underlying reality of the quantum universe, and by extrapolation, the nature of life, the principles of physics, perhaps even the uniform flow of time. Everybody knows about the atomic clock. they're actually having to readjust the atomic clock because it is based upon radioactive decay, which they thought was a universal law. Over the past decade, all that's changed. Our sun is heating up all the planets. Not just the Earth is heating up, every single planet in our solar system is heated up. And the Earth, things they thought were solid, were immutable laws of the universe. Now the scientists got to figure out what to do because it changed. So when we start talking up here about Sacred Heart with Christianity, when we talk about the threefold flame in the I Am teachings, when we start talking about truths that have been passed down to us, I feel sometimes that we feel it or we think it, but usually never both. Because we start off, okay, everybody stand up and pray. Everybody lay your hands on. But has everybody sitting here actually sat at home, in a congregation, in a car, and went into their heart, into their smallest part of who they are, and said, do I believe this is possible? Do I believe it's possible to raise the dead? Do I believe it's possible to walk on water? Do I believe it's possible to heal through letting God's all-powerful energy flow through me to another? Do we believe these things are possible, or do we just hit the ground running as Westerners, like we like to do? You know, it's go, ready, set. That's what we do. I don't know any other society in the world that's, you know, as good at that as we are. And yeah, we make a lot of mistakes, but this is one that we don't want to make. We don't want to do the law of attraction. We don't want to try and create abundance. We don't want to try and create healing. We don't want to evolve. We don't want to try and take on our light bodies. Remember our past lives. Gain wisdom. Without first making sure and going, you know what? I know that's possible. I know I can run a 4-minute mile because Roger Bannister already did. And now high school kids are doing it. I know that when the actually, E pluribus unum, the seal of the United States, that was obviously Masonic and created for that. Out of many, one. I don't think that we're one. I now can go and pull up scientific journals and say, hey, they just proved we're one. Everything's one. And I don't have to rely on mysticism. I don't have to rely on fables. I don't have to rely on ancient teachings and just say, well, I got to take it on faith. No. I can now go to science and say, now, science is actually proving the ancient truths and the ancient religious teachings. One of the things I always loved, I went to seminary. One of the things I always loved was Jesus throughout the entire New Testament. Jesus routinely expressed to every single group that he taught to, which basically spoke in parables, that we're all one. When they tried to set him up as a master, he would not let them. He said, we're all one. We're all teachers and students to each other. This was echoed by Buddha. Anybody that studied Buddha. We're all teachers and students to each other. We're all one big family. We have elder brothers, we have elder sisters, we have younger brothers, we have younger sisters. But nobody's above anybody else. And even sometimes I see when we talk about ascended masters, people try to idolize them, set them up on a pedestal. They're no different than us. Every single one of them throughout the ages has said the same thing. What I have done, you can do also. Just like Roger Bannister running the 4-minute mile, they proved it. They've done it. The Count of Saint Germain, with the violet flame, living 400 years, being seen in royal courts on 2 different continents and never aging, and being recorded by those scribes in those royal courts in France and England. We have proof. But are we sitting down? Do you really, in your heart of hearts, do you accept it and say, what I'm aiming for, what I want to do, what my goal is possible? Each day, especially with the I Am teachings, I get up and I look at life that we shouldn't be living our daily lives and then make time for God on Sunday. Make time for God on Tuesday night for spiritual development class. Make time for God on Fridays for chanting. Make time for God on Thursdays, where's Hollis? For A Course in Miracles. I did not forget you. Where is he? I didn't forget him. Somebody tell me I didn't forget him. We live that way in America. We separate our hearts and our minds. We are taught as children, do what you have to do. How often do you hear that? Do what you must. Do what you have to do. But do we do that as a whole being? We separate our hearts, we separate our minds, we tell one or the other shut up, and we just get on with the day. And now, we actually came into a time where we're realizing we can't do that. If you want to do what Jesus did, if you want to be like Jesus, you want to do the things he did, fine. He says it's possible. You want to read about the Count de Saint Germain and his teachings. You want to do what he did. He said it's possible. Kuan Yin, who we have records going back in China thousands of years, who was supposedly from Mu, one of the original people on the earth. Those records, she tells us it's possible. So now when we wake up every day, if we start off the day not by what we want to achieve, not by our game plan for today, not by our outline of all the things we have to get done, but if you wake up and the first thing that you put into your heart, into your mind, and you firmly accept is that it's possible, then anything you want to do the rest of the day, you can do. Any goal you want to achieve in weeks or months, you can do. You can achieve it. So one statement I'll leave you with, and remember it, it's possible. Thank you.